Alive and well, the Juggernaut is poised to make his jump to the MCU, a place we think would suit him well, with his debut coming sooner than expected, maybe even as soon as in the upcoming Thunderbolts project, or in the likes of the upcoming She-Hulk series. As for which version we'll get to see, it is up to Marvel to decide. Hopefully, we get to see him make more connections within the already established characters of the universe and branch outside of the X-Men franchise. While the Deadpool sequel brought the best part to the theaters yet again, Deadpool himself, the sequel came along with a rather impressive supporting cast of characters and cameos. Many of them walk the line between a superhero and a supervillain. However, one particular character who we will probably see in the near future within the MCU is the Vanisher, aka Juggernaut. The infamous Kane Marco arrived in the Deadpool sequel, and it wasn't just a nod to Vinnie Jones' portrayal of the character in 2006's X-Men The Last Stand. The character actually played a vital part in the progress of the plot. And before we move forward as to what the future might hold for the character as part of the wider MCU, let's talk a little bit about the character and keep all of you who never saw the 90s animated X-Men series or his appearances in live action up to speed. In Deadpool 2, the villains garnered the misbehaving mutants who proved too volatile for the super shady Essex Academy in order for it to handle them, shipping them all the way to one of the most secure facilities known as the Icebox, the place where Deadpool and Fire Fist became aware of a monster kept in the most secured section of the facility, some vault of sorts, with the monster at hand being in fact Juggernaut. Ryan Reynolds ended up voicing the character, who also did the facial capture as well. According to screenwriter Rhett Reese and co-writer Paul Wernick, while being one of the most unexpected and out-of-context characters to make an appearance in the sequel, the unfair treatment the character got over the years on the big screen is the main reason why he decided to make the Juggernaut part of the movie. Plus, it showed to be one hell of a decision, as we got to see Colossus and him brawl it out. A thing of beauty, don't you think? While Colossus still hasn't really been done justice either, you must be wondering how and why these two are the way they are to begin with. Well, Colossus is a mutant with the ability to transform his skin into an organometallic substance, granting him invulnerability and increased strength. While Juggernaut, on the other hand, is a massive mountain who possesses superhuman strength and is virtually unstoppable once he has momentum. And a side note, his metal helmet has nothing to do with his powers. Instead, it grants him protection from mental powers, the ones like Charles Xavier has. We are not going to dive too deep into how he's got his powers, but his origin story shows that he discovered a ruby in the temple of the mystical entity Cytorak, which is the way he got the powers he has. The important thing is that he is nearly unkillable, and has even stronger healing mutation than the one Deadpool has, which is also the explanation behind why he was able to heal so quickly and pull himself out of the electrified water he was thrown in at the end of the movie. So with everything in mind, and his appearance in the latest Deadpool movie surely gives fans the pleasure that he is alive and well, and that there is a chance for us to see him in an upcoming movie or a TV show as part of the MCU, now that the rights for the X-Men and the characters associated with them were bought by Disney, or rather, Marvel Studios. Plus, director David Leitch added that he has something in mind, and that he was the one to bring the Juggernaut franchise to the light, something he would like to see happen in the future. And we think we will be saying for everyone that we also hope for the same, right? There must be some speculations and rumors flying around for us to delve this deep into a character we only saw on the big screen for a few minutes. Well, yeah, that is the case. Now, we're still not sure about which version of the character we could possibly get, with some suggesting him in the form of a full-blown villain, while others saying that he would be more suited for a role of an anti-hero of sorts. Putting aside the status the character would take in the MCU, let's turn our heads towards the more important here. If the rumors are true, which project could we see the Juggernaut pop up in next? Sticking with the version that Deadpool 2 gave us of the Juggernaut, he clearly survived the encounter with the X-Force. and while many elements of the infamous X-Men universe are likely to be ignored now that the MCU has access to those characters, the entire cast from the Deadpool franchise remains an interesting wild card due to the popular nature of the titular character, which can be confirmed by the fact that Deadpool was the first character to officially be introduced of making the jump to the MCU. Along with Deadpool, we think that Juggernaut would make a perfect addition to the MCU, especially if he becomes part of the MCU's version of the team called Thunderbolts. Having begun as a team of villains posing as heroes, the team found a new life during Civil War as Marvel's answer to the Suicide Squad. Multiple versions of the team have been seen in the comics, with one infamous iteration starring the Juggernaut, a version of the team commanded by Luke Cage, which saw Juggernaut as an emotional character, and him dealing with his failed attempts at redemption and his inherently destructive nature. While MCU's confirmed Thunderbolts team will likely have a darker tone than the rest of the MCU, Juggernaut's brutality could potentially be a perfect fit for the team, which would also create a fresh slate for the writers and shape Juggernaut's future as well. Plus, yet another easy way to bring X-Men characters into the universe, gradually setting up the character as someone with multiple connections, which could then lead him all the way to him getting a standalone project in the upcoming years. The other thing that helps in this narrative is Deadpool's jump to the MCU, and his past connections to the Thunderbolts in the comics, with the Merc with a mouth also being a member of the team for a short period of time. Juggernaut's inclusion into the Thunderbolts team would also give the group a large-scale physical player who retains a sense of humor, as opposed to the largely serious figures like Abomination. His powers would also offer some kind of protection in a serious fight, even to the MCU's strongest fighters. One thing we are quite interested in about the character is the rumor about him joining the MCU as soon as in the upcoming Disney Plus series, She-Hulk. Now, we also have to warn you that nothing more has come of this rumor, so do not take our word for it just yet. However, seeing how the rumor is 2 years old by now, and no one has denied it so far, it might turn out to be true, with us seeing the Juggernaut come face to face with the likes of She-Hulk, or even the already well-established Green Goliath in the MCU so far, Hulk himself. Whatever the case may be, if Juggernaut becomes part of the MCU, Marvel Studios would get to choose what to do with this utility character, let him branch out, and for him to not only be connected to the X-Men, but rather the Marvel Universe as a whole, and him becoming an even more complex character and not just some ordinary villain. On a related note, tell us down in the comments below what are your thoughts on the character, taking into consideration his Marvel Comics history, as well as the recent cameo of his in the Deadpool 2 movie. Do you think the chances of him getting a movie or a TV show are there? Or will the MCU need to interpret the character in a different project before us getting to see him in his very own movie? But also, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon if you would like to see more videos like this in the future.